And so this is going to be kind of a different topic for us because grow lights are something that we are kind of, I would say, dabbling in. Here at the garden center, we have lots of natural light, and we always have kind of positioned ourselves or said if you're growing indoor plants, which is really exclusively what we're going to be talking about today, is using grow lights for indoor gardening. And so with that, we're going to be talking about all these different types of houseplants, seed starting. There's lots and lots of different topics within this, but what we've always kind of done is said, don't put a plant in the wrong spot. So when you're looking at inside your home, if you're looking at an east-facing window inside your house, then you've probably got a low to medium light. If you're in a west or a south-facing window, you've got medium to high light. And so selecting the right plants. However, grow lights have come a long way. And so that's kind of why we thought this would be an interesting time to kind of talk about it. We want to also kind of get some feedback on what you might be interested in, what you're looking for. So this kind of is kind of a way to kind of start this topic and conversation. Lights, grow lights, hydroponics, which kind of almost ties into it a little bit, is a confusing subject. It can somewhat be confusing to me. I've got lots of notes in front of me just in case I need to check anything, because it's something that, when we deal with greenhouses or growing outside, you typically don't have to worry about too much. But the opportunities to grow food inside or grow better houseplants is a lot of fun. And really what I kind of look at it is, from my perspective as a buyer, or also what I think customers might want, is a way to say, I've always wanted to grow a fiddle leaf fig, but I don't have enough light. What can I do? And so we want to be able to give you options to be able to still grow plants inside your home, whether you've got the right light situation or not. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to go super in depth. Not that I think I even probably could go super in depth. But I know enough to kind of help you have the knowledge. If you're going out looking for lights, we know we've got lots of people watching from around the country. And so if you're going out looking for grow lights or looking for different light sources to supplement your plants inside, these are some of the key things that you're going to need to know. So let's start with, what are the 5 kind of major things that plants need to grow? And of course, whenever we kind of talk about plants, these topics always typically come up. So they're going to need a temperature of some sort. So whether it's an outdoor plant that likes the cool weather or doesn't want to get too warm, or you got your tropical plants like a fiddle leaf fig or succulents or orchids that need a higher temperature or more consistent temperature. Temperature is a key factor. Air, of course, is key. The transference of plants taking in air and releasing oxygen. Also in the root system as well. And then of course water. Water is something that we always talk about, having enough water, too much water, too little water. And then nutrients. We always talk about plant foods and different types of fertilizers that you can use on your plants, and getting specific or also being general. But then of course, one of the overlying major factors of growing good plants is light. And so all plants need it. Of course, natural sunlight, daylight is the best thing that you can obviously give a plant, but in some situations, if you're lacking light, then we can add an artificial light source, and so that's what we're going to kind of talk about as our topic today. So there's a lot of benefits to growing inside, whether we're talking about growing food or starting seeds, or growing an herb or kitchen garden, or growing great houseplants. There's lots of benefits to that, and one of them is it's fun. I find a lot of enjoyment in it. You get, it kind of adds life to your home, adds different textures to your home. You can see this great little setup behind me, and you can see all the different types of textures and flower colors, or the edible properties of being able to eat some of your plants that you're growing inside. And then of course, it just gives you an overall sense of well-being to have plants inside your home. It gives you a calming way. It also is great for a lot of us that are working at home nowadays to be able to kind of add a little bit of that green, that life into our workspaces if we're in home. It actually is proven that it'll help your productivity inside your home. So if you're working in an office, then it's a great thing to kind of bring some plants into your area, and that will help your productivity. And then also another great benefit of growing plants inside is it limits pest issues. So if you bring plants inside from outside, you might be encouraging pest issues. However, taking plants outside for a summer vacation is definitely something that we would recommend. And a lot of times we're just supplementing light sources when we're overwintering plants. I know a lot of people that grow mandevillas or hibiscus and then they bring them into the garage, and just by giving them a little bit of a supplemental light source will help them get through that winter time frame. But limiting pests, so if you've got plants that you're growing inside year round and they're never going outside, which is doable, especially with an artificial light source, then you really eliminate the pest issues. Also, you control everything inside your home. You control. So I got to say real quick, thanks Donna, thank you Emma, my daughter, saying happy birthday to me. You can control all the different elements. You can control the amount of light. You can control the duration of the light, the length of the light that you give it. You can control the temperature. You control water. You control nutrients. And you control the air quality. And so all of those things are at your control inside your home. And that's what's so cool about being able to grow plants inside our home, is we can control all those and eliminate pests. So not only is it easy and fun and adds life and texture to your home and improves the quality of your life and all those things, but you get to control all those 5 key factors that you can't quite control outside. So you can't control the amount of water a plant's going to get necessarily, because you can't control Mother Nature. And sometimes, like the past 3 weeks that we've had in the weather in our area, you get a lot of water or you get hardly any sunlight. So you can't control those things, but inside you can. And that's what's cool about it. So using grow lights inside our home can aid in growing lots of different things and doing lots of different things. As I mentioned, herbs, veggies, seed starting, and of course, adding to your array of houseplants. Houseplants are super, super popular these days. And so there's a lot of people that are collecting plants. I know we are adding to our collection in my home all the time. And sometimes, as I mentioned, you want to grow plants that maybe you just don't have enough light for. And so this is a great way to kind of help supplement that. Today we'll be mostly talking about houseplants, but I'll throw in some other things. But really what I want to talk about is the different types of lights and how you can kind of understand some of this terminology. I think that's really the hardest part of all of this, is the terminology that these light companies use, and how does that relate to us and what we should be purchasing or what we should be using in our homes to grow better plants. And as you can see, the setup behind me is very easy to do, and that's what we carry here at McDonald Garden Centers. Not a huge selection, a small selection of, I think, easy to install, easy to understand, relatable kind of easy products that you can do or that you can use inside your home to help with growing indoor plants, no matter what you're growing. Whether it's a tomato in the closet or whether it's a fiddle leaf fig or succulents or anything like that. So let's talk about those 3 major aspects that you're looking for in LED or in fluorescent or incandescent bulbs. And so there's, again, a wide range of different topics here, and I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I possibly can. I'll answer some questions as I see them rolling through. I'll say hi to CJ, my good friend from college. I haven't talked to you in a while, but thanks for the birthday wishes. And then Nancy said, are y'all doing the big spring show this year? So at the very beginning, Nancy, you probably missed it. We are going to postpone our show this year for 2021 just because, of course, what is going on with the coronavirus. We want to be very, very safe. And that event draws a lot of people, and we don't want to have too many people in our garden center at one time. And so what we're doing is a 10-day event that we're calling our Spring Showcase, where we'll have lots of great deals, very similar deals to what you're going to see at the outdoor show that we typically have every year. And then next year in 2022, we're hoping and we're pretty sure that we'll be back with our big spring show. So Nancy, check us out next March 5th. So it's March 5th through March 14th is when we're going to be doing our Spring Showcase, which is going to be an exciting event. And we've got 4 major live webinars that we'll be doing in conjunction with that. So check out our website, mcdonaldgardencenter.com, and it'll give you all the information about the Spring Showcase coming up. So Renee said, my plants do wonderful in the garage with a grow light. It's amazing. Yep. And grow lights are only getting better. And so that's what's really cool is while I don't carry a lot of LED lights yet because those are getting better and they're really, really close and they're probably really there. They are a little bit of a sticker shock, but I'll explain a little bit of that as we go along. A lot of what we carry are fluorescents, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But I want to talk about the three major aspects that we're going to look at when we're buying or looking at using grow lights inside our home. And that's quality, quantity, and duration. So those are kind of the three things that you'll typically hear. Now, the problem with that I have found is you're not going to see the quality or the quantity or the duration on the package on the light. So you're going to see other terms like spectrum, lumens, intensity, watts, and kelvins. And so what does all that mean, and what does it mean when I'm looking for the right type of grow light for my situation, or what I need to add to help my plants do better inside my home? So let's talk about quality first. And quality is kind of measured or relatable to this terminology on the packages that I'll show you, is kelvins and the color or the spectrum. And you're going to see different types of terminology along with kelvins, which is like, is it a warm light or a cool light? And so usually you're going to find kelvins and spectrum on the package. And that really relates to the quality of the light, how good the light is. So let's see, I'll just grab this package right here because this is an easy one. Well, I'll do this one. So this is our tube light right here. This is our Fluorescent T50H0 combo light. And what this is a reflector light. It's what I have up here in my shelving down here, which really is a great type of light. But let me just not get ahead of myself here and talk about the kelvins and the spectrum. So all of our lights, the good news is all of our lights are full color spectrum lights. So you don't typically have to worry about that specific information. You're always going to get kind of a full spectrum light here. However, there are different colors. So what is the spectrum of light? So spectrum of light is sunlight. And sunlight has every color of the rainbow in it. Now, to our eyes, it looks like a white or maybe a warm white light, but it has all the different colors. And you're going to hear a lot of like red and blue mentioned in the spectrum. And blue is going to be your vegetative, your green growth. So if you're looking to really spur that on, blue lights, I'm not talking specifically a blue light, but blue might be mentioned in your spectrum more. If you're looking to add flowering, then you might see red in the spectrum mentioned more. However, what we have found through science and a lot of studying on indoor growing lights is a full spectrum is really what plants want, because different plants use different colors. Yellow, so think of your Roy G. Biv, remember all the colors of the rainbow. Green is in there, yellow's in there, orange, violet, all of those different colors. Red and blue are by far the most used colors by plants, but they're not the end-all be-all. And so by getting a full spectrum light, I really feel like that's best. Now, if we're trying to force flowers, we might be looking for a little bit heavier in the red on the spectrum. If we're really looking for green growth, we might be looking for a little bit more blue. But typically in our situation as homeowners that are just growing plants inside, or whether we live in an apartment or we're trying to overwinter our plants in the garage, you just really want a full spectrum light. And that kind of is how I kind of bring that back down to an easier level to understand. Something that I've kind of just discovered while reading all this is full spectrum lights are the best, because if a plant does like a little bit more specific or a little bit of different colors, then you're going to get that in a full spectrum. So that's kind of what I typically am going to recommend. And that's what you're going to find here if you come and shop at McDonald Garden Center, is you're going to find the full spectrum lights. And so Ellen just said, what color for seed starting? So blue is typically going to be better for that vegetative state of growing. However, again, full spectrum covers everything, so you don't have to worry too much. And that's kind of where I guess I'm kind of going with the spectrum side. Is full spectrum, you know you're getting everything. If we're trying to do something specific, then maybe we're going to look for a little bit more of a specific light. But for seed starting, a full spectrum light is going to be perfectly fine. Blue is designed for green growth, and that's what you want for seed starting and for that early stage of a plant's life. Is it needs blue light to grow and form that, and I shouldn't say blue light, I should say, the color blue in the spectrum of light. And that's kind of what it needs to start. And you really don't want to have too much red light necessarily, because it's, you don't want to force it to bloom early. You want it to you want the plant to allow it some time to kind of put out its leaves, grow, to have a healthy root system and all that. Now, outside, we can grow seeds, and they grow naturally every single day of our life outside, and it's getting all different types of light. So that's why I kind of always go back and I say, we can get super, super specific here, but overall, a full spectrum is best. So now let's jump to Kelvins, because Kelvins tie into the quality of our light. And so Kelvins are measured in a unit from about 1,000 to 10,000. Now, what our daylight is, and I'm going to try and make this super, super easy and specific and not get too kind of crazy on the Kelvin measurement. Here on this package, you're going to see 6,400 kelvins, so 6,400 kelvins, which is really close to what the daylight is outside, which is about 6,500. So anywhere really from 5,000 to 7,000 kelvins is a great space to kind of be in. And so if you're looking for lights, if you're not buying lights from here, pretty much all of our lights fall right into that range. Then you're getting a very natural kind of daylight Kelvin measurement. So if we're looking at anything lower, like 3,500 to 4,500, so anywhere from that range in kelvins, 3,500 to 4,500 in kelvins, then we might be looking at more of a specific fruiting or flowering light. But again, I tend to kind of go back to use your daylight, because fruiting and flowering has lots of other parts of, remember what I said at the very beginning, the 5 major factors of growing good plants? Flowering and fruiting has a lot to do with, and root development has a lot to do with temperature, has a lot to do with nutrients. So it's not all about the light. If you're adding light, if you're supplementing light, then you typically are going to want to be in this kind of general range. Full spectrum, and 6,400, maybe 5,000 to 7,000 kelvins is going to give you what daylight is. And so that's kind of where I kind of want to take a little bit of that questioning out and say, okay, if we're looking at the quality of the light, we want a fairly high Kelvin count, which is 60, 6,500, somewhere in that range, 5,000 to 7,000. And then that's what you would want, and then the full spectrum light. So let's jump and let's just kind of keep moving along. And then I know we'll probably get lots of questions in here, but I also kind of want to show you a bunch of the products that we carry and how they might work in your home. So let's move on to the quantity of light. Now this one gets a little bit trickier. So quantity of light is usually measured or relatable to us by watts and lumens. And so watts are kind of tricky because watts are really the use of energy. So how much energy is going into that bulb? And so the more wattage, the more it's going to cost you typically, the more energy that's being pulled into that bulb. And so the higher wattage usually is going to be a little bit more interesting to run. However, watts tie in to lumens. And so lumens are really, which again becomes tricky when we're talking about plants, lumens is really the brightness to the sensitivity of our eye. So what does that have to do with plants? Well, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with plants really. So it's kind of interesting, why do they even put lumens on the package? So let's look back at our original one here. Let me see, these tube lights all have different lumens. So this one's got 2,232 lumens. Well, that's interesting. That's high actually on the range. So that's very high, but it's only 24 watts. So 24 watts is a pretty low wattage number, but we've got high lumen output, which means it's a good light. If you had a higher wattage, then your lumens could be lower. So you can kind of see how those kind of balance out. Really what I want to talk about with the quantity of light is that all plants require some amount of quantity, and usually that is related to us through tags, information. The experts here at the Garden Center is high, medium, or low light. And that's really what I typically talk about when I'm talking about the quantity of light. And what watts and lumens can help you do is also figure out nanometers, and then it gets a little bit too in-depth for even me, it will tell you kind of how far away the light can be from the plant, but it'll also kind of just give you the quantity of light. So the higher the wattage, the higher the energy input into the bulb. So if we've got a 200 watt bulb, then our lumens don't need to be as high. They could be somewhere around the 500 to 900 measurement. If we've got a lower wattage, like let's say this little bulb that I'll show you, 13 watt bulb, this is equal to a 60 watt incandescent bulb. So that's what this type of CFL does. Again, getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'll come back to that in a minute. But the lumens are 900. So a low wattage, but a high lumen count. And then comparable to the 26 watt bulb. So the 26 watt bulb is a little bit higher in the wattage, but 1700 lumens. So what you're getting there is the quality, or sorry, the quantity of light. And what that means is with a 26 watt bulb, I could put my fixture a little bit further away. If I have a 13 watt bulb with a little bit lower lumen count, I might need to get a little bit closer to the plant. And so that kind of helps you understand that. So lumens are tricky. When you go and do any kind of research on lumens, they might even say, don't even worry about lumens. Lumens don't really relate to what plants, because it's really a measurement of the sensitivity to our eye. And a great way to kind of explain lumens is red and blue are the most used colors in the spectrum of light that our plants will use. But if you just had red and blue lights, and you might even see this in some of the LED lights specifically that can really hyper focus on those two colors. So if you've got an LED grow light that has only red and blue, it's going to come out, what does red and blue make? Purple. So it's going to kind of come out with a purple color, which is going to be a very low lumen count, because that is not very bright to our eyes. So lumens are really the measurement of light to the sensitivity to our eye. So it's kind of tricky. What I kind of like to say there is a lower watt bulb, 13, 26 watt bulb, is much lower than what we're typically used to using as an incandescent bulb in our home, which could be 60 to 100 watts. And so with 60 to 100 watts, if you ever got one of those incandescent bulbs, they're kind of hard to find nowadays with all the new LED bulbs out there. Is you're usually going to see, if they even measure the lumens on it, a much lower lumen count than you will get with these newer bulbs that are designed for growing. And again, what the important thing is here is it's a full spectrum bulb with a lot of kelvins, which is the quality of the light. The quantity is measured in watts and lumens, and a little bit trickier and not as much to worry about. So we'll kind of stop there if we've got questions back on that. But usually what I want to say is the quantity is measured in watts and lumens together, and how they kind of correlate to each other. So hopefully that helps. I know it can kind of be confusing, but that does help. Let me make sure I got all my... So to make it simple, bulbs are being produced with lower wattage, but a higher lumen output, so intensity is still good. And so that's where that intensity kind of comment comes in there, typically is with quantity of light. So a lower wattage bulb, save you a little bit of electricity, but it'll increase the lumen count with better grow lights. So look for lumens, but don't get stuck with lumens, because if you're looking for like a red LED grow light, you're going to find a very low lumen count. Doesn't mean that it's going to hurt the plant. It just is the intensity to our eye. All right, so then the next one is duration. So duration, so remember when we talked about the three aspects of light, is quality and quantity and duration. So duration is everybody keeps saying happy birthday. Thank you very much. So duration is how close or how long we have the lights turned on. And so that really can vary greatly across the spectrum of what we might be growing. So for example, seed starting. So seed starting, I've got a little demonstration down here or a little example down here I'll show you here in a minute. But seed starting actually needs a higher duration of light, 16, maybe even 18 hours of light, whereas most other indoor plants are going to need a little bit less, 12. And then we might even go down to 8 to 10 hours for duration if we're trying to get our holiday cactus to bloom or our poinsettias to bloom, because the duration of light can have a lot to do with how much flowering we get or how the plant is doing. And so that's kind of important to remember. Really what I try and say with duration is keeping it as close to the hours of daylight that we get outside. So if you look out your window and you get light coming in around, let's say 7 a.m. And it lasts till 5 p.m., then that's about the duration that you typically are going to want. Now, something like a fiddle leaf fig or a tropical plant is used to getting a little bit of a longer duration of light. So maybe you have it run a little bit longer. And really what I kind of typically end up doing with duration is saying, do a little bit of research, come in and ask us questions if you're local and you want to come in and check us out. You can find out a lot of information. There's good information on the internet, but also local information is very important. So if we're growing, like, let's say orchids inside. So like right behind me, I've got this great lady slipper. I hope you can see that. I've got some phalaenopsis, some moth orchids in the back. They do fine with our standard amount of light during the day. So anywhere from 12 to 14 hours of light. And really where I end up kind of getting to with duration is get some timers. Get some inexpensive timers, attach them to your grow lights, and then it's easy for you to set. Also, look at what kind of natural light they're getting. And this is a very kind of important point with duration, but also on the side of the quality and the quantity. If we're growing in a room that has a window, you're getting some sort of natural light, most likely. If it's a north-facing window, you're probably getting the least amount of natural light. But if you're in an east-facing window, I think this is a great example. A lot of us have east-facing windows. We feel like we get good natural light. We feel like we can grow some things. And then it turns out it's not enough light, but this is my room, or this is where I want this plant to grow. And so what we want to do is add a little bit of light. So maybe your timer, this is where the timer part comes back in, is coming on around 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon, because that sun has passed up over top of your house. The east-facing window isn't getting as much light. And not, again, we don't have to be growing directly in that window. We could be growing in that room somewhere that's getting natural light. It is still being able to pull that light to that plant. And then maybe the light, our artificial light source, is coming on around noon and lasting until about 5 or 6 p.m. So you're getting a full day's worth of light, but you're still utilizing that natural daylight source. So that kind of helps with the different types of aspects of light: quality, quantity, and duration. I know that can be a little confusing. I hope that helps kind of understand. So like Renee says, I better bump it up, have my seedlings at 6 hours, 6 hours of artificial light. However, Renee, if you're getting natural light in that room, so if you're getting any kind of natural light, maybe 6 hours is fine. Seed starting, so actually germination, doesn't typically require any light. I mean, you can almost grow them in darkness. I wouldn't recommend it, but the reason that I say that is because to get a seed to germinate, we're really talking about temperature and moisture, allowing that seed coating to break. Now, once it germinates, then it needs light. So go ahead and start the light. I'm not saying grow them in a dark room, but light is important when a plant does start to grow and starts to germinate and starts to put out leafy greens. So sorry, I keep laughing because I keep getting all these different happy birthday messages, and thank you very much. And Jimmy, I haven't talked to you in a while, but thank you. So I appreciate that. Appreciate all the well wishes. Thank you, everybody. So let me see, where were we? Okay, so a great way to kind of help kind of wrap up this duration subject is basic fluorescent bulbs. So the homes that, in our home, what we've been using forever is, these basic fluorescent bulbs, 60, 70, 100 watt bulbs, fluorescent bulbs. Now I know LED bulbs are out there, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if you wanted to grow with those, you could actually grow with a basic fluorescent or incandescent bulb inside your home. It doesn't have the full spectrum necessarily, but what I kind of want to say here is with that light, let's say I just used a regular lamp light, then to grow a plant that needs a little bit more light, let's say medium to high light, you would need to run that light 16 to 18 hours per day and have it within inches of the leaves of the plant. So that kind of tells you why grow lights with full spectrum lights, lower wattage, higher lumens, higher Kelvins, all of that information helps be able to grow better plants inside with a grow light and not just our typical fluorescent bulbs. Another example of this is, we always talk about low maintenance or low light plants for inside. And a lot of times we're talking about like snake plants or ZZs, maybe ferns that don't need as much light. So if you have an office space or if you have a room that doesn't get a lot of natural light and you've got regular fluorescent lights in there, you can probably grow some of those. But if you want to grow a little bit of a higher light plant, let's say the medium to high light plants, then you need to get a grow light. And so let's kind of get into some of that information. Let me make sure I'm touching on all my yep, I think I've touched on all that, so that's good. So let me show you kind of what I've got set up here so you can kind of understand really where I'm going with this and kind of get a grasp on what we sell and what you might be looking at out there. So let's start with this Sunblaster T50, or sorry, T5 H0 combo light. What this is, I'm going to take it out, I'm going to show it to you. Now this one is 24 inches, so they come in 24, 36, and 48 inch measurements. But what it is basically it's a fluorescent bulb, because I don't carry a lot of LED yet, and I'll get to the reason here in a minute. But these are really, really cool strip lights or tube lights. So now you can go get a ballast from your hardware store and put in some specific grow lights into that ballast. That can work. But this right here has a reflector on the inside, which is really, really nice. So that's what really upgrades this light. And you can see them right here behind me. I don't know if you can quite see this one down here that's on. You can just see, I mean, my hand almost disappears. But that's a really bright light. And so high lumens and great Kelvins, 6400 Kelvins, but it's only 24 watts, so it's not going to take a lot of electricity. What's also really cool about these Sunblaster lights is they actually have light that go all the way to the end. So a lot of times in old-fashioned fluorescent tube lights, we would say the best light is right in here. Well, why get a tube light if all my great light's going to be right in the middle? But towards the end, I can do some low light plants, or usually what you'd see is with like seedlings, is all your seedlings in this area are really, really tall, and all the ones over here are kind of wimpy looking on the edge. Well, with this T50, these are really, really nice. So these Sunblaster lights actually have a full light capacity all the way to the end. And so that means even over here, you're getting a good intensity of light. And so that's what makes these so nice. What's also cool about them is you get some hardware with it, which is nice. So in here I've got, sorry, that's the French side. I've got a linking cord, which is basically this guy right here, which what that means is I can attach this to the end, and then I can attach it to another light. So I can run a bunch of lights, 4, I think is the max, off of one plug, which I'll show you why that's kind of cool as these kind of whole things, start to link together. But it's also got some hardware, some hanging hardware. So it's got hanging clips, mounting clips, and it's also got the power cord, of course, with the switch on it. So let's see if I can do that without making a huge mess here with my lights. You can see that top light on and off. So you've got the switch on it. It's really easy. You can attach it to a timer, leave it on, and then it'll come on naturally. But these lights are really, really nice. And the reason that I love these is because they're pretty versatile. So whether you're growing on like a baker's rack like I have behind me, or this is actually just a storage rack really, which I think looks pretty cool. Just putting all these different plants and having some grow lights attached to it allows you to grow lights in lots of different locations. But what's really cool is you can attach these underneath a kitchen cabinet, in a shop, in a garage, of course, other factors, we're talking about temperature, so be careful with your temperatures in garages. But inside a kitchen, this is a great option to be able to attach this underneath a, low cabinet that, maybe so you got your counter, and then you've got the cabinets that sit above it typically. So this you could attach underneath, and you could grow a small herb garden in your kitchen. A cocktail garden, a kitchen garden. You could start your seedlings in there. So these are great. Great functionality. You got a lot of diversity, whether it's a bookshelf. If you've got a bookshelf in your house and you're trying to decorate with plants, this is a great option. If you've got a higher light situation on a top shelf and then below it, it starts to get darker, then you can always attach these underneath the shelf and it will illuminate underneath it very, very well. And you've got 3 different sizes. So you've got the 24 inch. So these all have different wattages. and different lumens. So if you're interested in that, again, I don't want you to get too sucked into the lumens and the wattage. It's really about the full spectrum and the kelvins, and then how long you're running it, and then how much electricity is it going to cost you and how bright is it to you. Because a lot of people, if you're looking at the LED lights and you're getting into that red-blue, as I mentioned before, then your lumens are going to be way down, but it might become annoying to your eye to have kind of a purple kind of light going on. And so if you're growing, if you're using grow lights in an area in your home that you spend a lot of time in, like let's say a family room or a den or your kitchen, you might not want a purple light. And so having full spectrum helps that, but also understanding your lumens helps that. And then the wattage, of course, is going to affect your electricity bill. Now, most of our fluorescent bulbs are much lower in wattage than they used to be. A lot of grow lights were somewhere in that 200 to 300 watt, which is going to suck a lot of electricity. Now, obviously, LEDs bring that way down. And they are the future, and we're in that future now. But LEDs do up the price of bulbs, and so I'll kind of get into that after I show you everything that I've got. So with that, let me show you the 36-inch. So we've got our 24-inch, we've got a 36-inch. So the 24-inch is 39 watts. The 24-inch is 24 watts. So a little bit more electricity. What are you going to get with that? A little bit more lumens, 3,627 lumens, but you still get the 6,400 kelvins, which is great. And then we've got our big 48-inch. So this is a 4-foot light. This is great if we're doing like major operations, if we're really growing a lot of different lights. And I'm going to show you how this kind of fits into another little growing ability is a great thing. But this is a 4-foot. This is 54 watts, so we're up in the electricity, but still we're not even to 60 watts yet. So that's really, really cool that, a normal light bulb in our house is 60 watts. This is 54 watts, still the 6,400 kelvins, and then the lumens are 5,022 lumens. So what that means is you're casting a good quantity of light. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about lumens and wattage is quantity. So hopefully that kind of brings that all together for you. All right, so those are really, really cool, and I'll bring those back out to show you kind of how they fit into another area that I want to talk about as well. But the next thing I want to show you is another great one. This one's been around for a long time. So those are our Sunblaster T5 H0 combo light sets. It's the whole thing. It's the ballast, the reflector, the attachment hardware, and the plug, as well as the connector, so you can connect multiple lights together if you want to. But this is another cool one. This one's our day spot. So this is, you probably have seen this out there. But the reason I love it is because it's so easy. It's just very easy and functional if we're trying to add a little bit of supplemental light to, say, this fiddle leaf fig behind me. So you can see it right up here. I'm going to grab it here in a second. But this is the day spot light bulb kit. So it's got everything that you see here. It's got the reflector on the inside. It comes with a 60-watt bulb. So again, the wattage is up. Let's see, did I write down how many lumens this has? This has, I don't know if this one actually mentioned the lumens on it. That was the interesting part, is it didn't mention lumens. But it's 60 watts, so it's higher in wattage, which means the lumens are pretty good. We can also see the intensity of the light, so we know that it's a fairly good one. If I had to guess, that's probably around 800 to 900 lumens, so higher wattage, lower lumens, but still that's good because together they're adding a good intensity or a good quality or quantity of light. But it is a full spectrum bulb, and it does have, I think it was 6,400 kelvins. So we're still up in that range that we need to be. Now what's really cool about this light is it's so easy to use. So you can see it's a clamp light. So let me see if I can get this without pulling this whole shelf off me. So here we've got this clamp light. So it's really easy for a shop, for a shelf, for anything that we might be using. You can turn it, so we can adjust this however we want. It's very, very simple to use. And then it's got this great little clamp right here. So all I have to do, and this is really, really good for your indoor plants that maybe are getting a little bit bigger and need a little bit more light. Let's see if I can do this here. So there we go. So you can just clamp it onto a shelf, onto a corner, into anything, and it gives you that reflector. It's great for garages. It's great to just have around if you're like, you know what, we've had a rainy 3 weeks, and I need to add a little bit of light. My plants are suffering. This is a one that you can pull out real quick, hook it up. You don't have to worry about it. And it's not super, super pretty looking, but it's very functional and it's easy and it's not that expensive either. So these little lights are $29.99. It comes with the bulb. So it's a really, really good light. And it's an easy, quick kind of adjustment thing. You can bring it down close. You can raise it up. So it's a super, super easy light. It's one of the first ones that I ever sold here. But it's very, very easy to use, and it's got the full spectrum. It's got the high Kelvins. It's a little bit higher in the wattage, a little bit lower in the lumens, but they equal out and give you the good quantity of light that you need. And the ability to change the height really, really does help. So to jump from that to back to these bulbs again. So these are great because a lot of people, I think, are trying to grow indoor plants, house plants, and maybe they need a little bit extra light source, but they don't want a shelving system like this. They don't want a clamp light like this. They want a decorative light in their home to, match their decor inside their home. So these bulbs are grow lights that are easy on the eyes, but give you everything you need. So they're full spectrum. They're the 6400 Kelvin bulbs, 26 watts, 13 watts. So let's go back to that quantity equation again. So we've got 26 watts, 1700 lumens, which means I can put this on a light fixture and have it a little bit further away from the plant, and the plant is still going to get some benefit from that. The 13 watt might be for a smaller plant. Maybe it's a little desktop lamp. Maybe it's for your desk. Maybe it's for a smaller side table light. But these are great options to be able to include into a light fixture. The other option is, because they're lower wattage, is when this guy runs out, I can always pop in one of these. And these are your CFLs. So CFL stands for Compact Fluorescent Lamp, or Compact Fluorescent Light. And so you've probably seen these before. Now again, if you're buying these at a hardware store, now you're armed with the information to know if you're getting what you need. Full spectrum, so does it have all the colors of the rainbow in it? Or is it just a white or a yellow? And so a lot of bulbs won't tell you that, but if it says full spectrum, you got that. Then you're looking at Kelvins, which it should have on most light bulbs out there, and you want it to be in that 6400 range, 5,000 to 7,000 Kelvins. And then you're looking at wattage, because that's how much electricity it's going to take. And then you're looking at lumens. How bright is it to you? And so all of that information now kind of will help you buy different types of bulbs out there. But this one is great because I can put it into here if I want to, or I can put it into a decorative lamp around my home. So these are great add-ons and great things that you can use around your home, whether it's in any type of light fixture. As I was mentioning, adding to your decor in your home, a lot of times I see these great pictures in magazines and stuff of a huge fiddly fig. Usually you're going to see a lamp nearby, in a truly a home setting where that fiddly fig or other bigger, larger house plant has been growing for a while. And what I love are these light fixtures that are basically a pole light, has like 3, maybe 4 different light fixtures on it. And then you can put these grow lights into it and it looks like a natural light to you. I mean, and again, when we're talking about grow lights versus indoor lights, they can be very similar. It's just checking out some of those specific information on the package to make sure you're getting what you need or what the plant needs to grow successfully. All right, and then the next one I want to show you is this desktop light. So this is really cool. This is a little bit more of a complete package. So I'm going to take this awesome cactus off before it hurts me. And then I'm going to show you this desktop lamp. So this is really cool. This is made by AgroBright, the same people that make this clamp light. But this is a really nice kind of desktop light. It's easy on the eyes. It's a little bit lower on the Kelvins. So we're around the 5,000 range on Kelvins on this one. So it's not quite to the 6,400 Kelvins. But man, look at that intensity and that direct source. So it's really encapsulating this light source. It's also got a reflector built into it. So I can't quite show you because it'll be just super bright to you. But inside there's a slight reflector source in there. So it's really reflecting all the light down here. So you're getting the full use of the bulb. It's a fairly low wattage. So it's 27 watts. It's also adjustable. So we can go anywhere from, see if I can do this without breaking it, but we can go back and forward like that, and we can get it down to about 15 inches. So I can grow a much smaller plant here. We can also extend it up, and we can grow a much bigger plant. So we've got the ability to adjust the height, which is really, really nice. It's also full spectrum. It's 1500 lumens, so it's right in that good lumen range that we want. So we know it's a good, bright, it's got good quality, it's got a good quantity of light, and duration as easy as on and off with just a flick of a switch, or we can set it on a timer. But this looks great on a desk. It's easy, it's bright light, so it'll help you read, but it's also great for growing plants. And then it's got this great platform that's waterproof, so I can put a plant on here. If a little bit of moisture gets on this, that's fine. It's not going to hurt it at all. It's designed to be able to take that. So let me see if I can put this back again without breaking everything. And we'll put my little cactus back in there. All right. So those are kind of some of the lights that we carry. Now, in conjunction with that, goes back to kind of this seed starting idea. So here I've got a tray of lettuce growing. These are really nice looking lettuces growing here. I got a nice little tray of them. I've got this cover on them. So maybe this is a seed starter set. I didn't literally start these seeds. I went and grabbed these plants from outside. But what I wanted to show was this dome covering. So this is made by the same company that makes those Sunblaster lights. So this is a really, really easy light dome to use. It helps with the greenhouse effect, bringing more light in, but it also fits your Sunblaster lights. So it's got these tracks in the top, and these fit right in. Really, really easy. They've got vents on the top, so we can open up the vents to allow heat to come out if we're getting too hot. Allow airflow, or close it off if we need to get it warmer. Also, it's got tracks that run this way. So I can actually add onto it and go this way with it. So we can add on and go this way. So if I really want to up my seed germination, my seedling success, or an herb or kitchen garden, then I could have multiples of these. You can buy the heavy-duty tray with it. So these are really inexpensive, $7.99. It's a heavy-duty tray. It's really used or designed to be reused year after year after year. It's super, super thick. It won't bend. And then you get your dome right over the top of it. And that's a great little dome that fits right on the top. And then each year I can add to it, or I can do more and more each year. I can turn it. It's super, super adjustable, and it's very easy to use. Let's see, I want to make sure my video is not going away. All of a sudden the lights got dim on me. So the Nanodome is a great option. You can buy just the dome top, you can buy the super duty tray, the heavy duty tray, and then you can buy your Sunblaster lights, or do one better for you. You can get the whole kit. So we've got the Nanodome Kit, which comes with everything that I just mentioned. It only comes with an 18-inch tube light, but those are great because you can always pop that into another situation. So if we're expanding our operation here, if we're growing more with the Nanodomes, then you can get the 4-foot light. You can add 3 of these across the 4-foot light. You can do lots of different configurations. It's very, very versatile, very, very easy. But this is a great starter kit because it comes with everything, the tray, the dome, and the light source, and it comes with the connector and everything that you need. So if you want to take that light and move it up to the top of underneath the shelf, as I was mentioning, that you can use some of these tube lights for, then that's an option as well. And that's kind of really what we carry. Of course, I have the replacement bulbs for our desktop lamp. I have new bulbs coming in, so I want to get too far ahead of myself, but as we continue to learn more and do more with grow lights, then LEDs are going to become kind of part of that. Now, LEDs right now are very, very, as I mentioned, the sticker shock is there. So something like our, let's say our 24-inch. So our 24-inch tube light is $44.99 with a fluorescent bulb. Now, if this were an LED bulb, you're probably looking at like $69.99. So this is where we get into the difference, is how long or what's the difference between LED and fluorescent. So you still get the full spectrum. LED can get a little bit more specific on the red or blue lights. So you can you can kind of change the spectrum of light with LED. And the great way of explaining that or showing that to you, and hopefully you can see this, I don't know if you can quite see it, but inside this tube you're going to see all those little diodes. And so all those little diodes are different colors on the spectrum. And so since this is a full spectrum light, it's probably got red, blue, yellow, green, violet, orange, all those different colors are in that spectrum. But if you wanted to get something specifically for blooming or specifically for seed germination or your seedlings, then you can get something that has a little bit more red or a little bit more blue. I typically kind of revert back to saying, get the full spectrum. It's more versatile. You can use it in lots of different applications around your home, and it converts to different projects that you might be having for your indoor plants, for your grow light needs. Full spectrum always seems to make more sense to me. But LED will last much longer. So LED's coming. I don't have it yet. I really have more of the fluorescent. But LED is going to last a lot longer. So typically, like your tube lights, so the ones that I was showing earlier, the fluorescent bulbs, these have about a 10,000 hour burn capacity, which is really about 2 to 3 years if you're using it somewhere in that 10 to 14, 16 hour time length. LEDs, let me make sure I'm saying this right, have 35,000 hours. So this could last you 6, 7, 8 years with this one tube light. So that's the benefit, is one, length of use, so you're not gonna have to replace it very often, but also your wattage. So this tube light is 18 watts. So much lower wattage, let's check the lumens. So we've got 6,400 kelvins, so good Kelvin range. It's only 18 watts, but it's 2014 lumens. So that's a very, very high lumen to a very low wattage. And so that's what's so cool about LED as we continue to kind of get into that world of LED. And so hopefully we can start to get there sooner than later. We definitely have a great fluorescent collection. I think that's what's easier for people to understand when they're first starting out. Now, the nice thing about this Sunblaster company is this LED tube lamp can fit into its regular reflector. So this is just the ballast, this is just the reflector. And so you can, when you run out of this fluorescent bulb, you can get an LED bulb to replace it, and the cost is not going to be as great. And of course, you're going to save on electricity as well. So, LED is, I used to say it's the future. It's here. It is very, very good. It's just the price is a bit of a sticker shock for beginners that maybe want to just get into indoor lighting. So we've got a couple other elements or a couple other options that you can use. I love these little light bulbs. They're very easy to use. You can pop them into any fixture that you might have around your home. So it's a very, very cost-effective, very easy thing that you can do. The tube lights with the reflector are awesome. I think they're very versatile. I think they're cool looking to incorporate them into a bookshelf or a baker's rack or some side of element, or using them out in your garage. Really, really good light source. And then of course the clamp light that I love because it's very versatile. It's kind of a quick fix if you need something quick and easy to attach. You can pop that clamp light on. And then of course our desktop plant light. So if you've got kids in college and they want to grow a plant, this is a great option for their desktop. It's also great if you're working from home. It's just an easy, nice, aesthetically pleasing light source that you can use for a grow light inside your home. So we've got lots and lots of cool lights here. We're only going to get more as this continues to grow, as people collect more and more indoor plants and need an additional light source. So we'll continue to upgrade, but I hope that helps you kind of understand the light that you might need if you're out there searching for an additional artificial light source. It's not the end all be all. And if you don't want to do grow lights, you don't have to, because we can help you select the right plant for the room. But if we're doing seed starting, if we're doing, if we're trying to grow herbs in a kitchen, if we're trying to get different types of plants going, let's say our orchids are suffering because we just don't have enough intensity of light or we don't have the right type of light, we can help you do that with the grow lights that we have, and the source of that is only going to get better. So hopefully that helps you understand the quality, the quantity, and the duration of lights. using all those different terminology with quality and the kelvins and the spectrum, the light spectrum, and then of course the quantity of light using watts and lumens. Don't get too tied into that though. And then of course the duration, understanding how long your plants need the light source, and timers really help out with that as well. So hopefully that helps. I know that's a lot of information. I hope that wasn't too much to digest, and I didn't want to go too in depth. So hopefully I didn't go too far to make it super confusing. That's kind of how it made the best sense to me, and so hopefully I relayed that information to you. So if you're going out buying lights, if you're in North Carolina, Green Bay, St. Louis, all across the country, you can go buy a light now and you don't have to worry about traveling all the way here to Virginia. If you live in our neck of the woods, come and see us. We've got great indoor grow lights, high quality, good Kelvin count, full spectrum, easy to use, easy to kind of install in your home and use around your home. So we've got some great applications here for your lights. All right, I hope everybody has a great day. Enjoy this gorgeous day. It's gorgeous weather. Get outside, do some work in the yard, and then come back inside and evaluate if you need to get some grow lights for your plants inside. I hope everybody has a great day. Check us out next week. We've got our spring showcase starting on Friday. So that'll run from March 5th to March 14th. It's going to be an exciting event. Tune in. We're going to have lots and lots of content, lots of things to talk about, and a lot of great information through that series, not to mention some amazing deals. So if you live in our neck of the woods, you're going to want to come in and check us out and get all your spring plants and get started in the garden, or buying some indoor plants or lights. So thanks so much. I'll stick around for a minute and just see if I have any questions. Let's see, Autumn. Today I learned that I wasted money on grow lights from Amazon. well, hopefully now that helps, because you can really pay attention to some of those key factors, some of those specific things that your plants need. And I kind of say be broad, get some good Kelvin counts, get some lower wattage if you can with a higher lumen output, and then pay attention to how long those lights need to run. And then that really will help you kind of advance. If we get more technical in the future, we can. There's some other terminology out there. I made some notes. I'm not going to get into this because it gets almost probably above and beyond me. But you start to get into the PARs, which are, let's see, I said photosynthetic active radiation. So that's pretty interesting, that terminology, and then PPFD, and then the nanometers, and man, can you go down a rabbit hole with this topic. But hopefully the basic information I gave you will help you pick out a great grow light. All right, Christine, thank you so much. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Appreciate it. I'm 40, so I'm over the hill now. I'm getting old. And Renee, thank you for attending, and I hope everybody has a great day. I'm going to take off. Everybody have a great one, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Check us out for our spring showcase next week, and then we'll continue these webinars all spring long. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.